In the vast expanse of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, few stories are as tragic and cautionary as that of the Eldar. Once the masters of the stars, the Eldar Empire was a shining beacon of technological and cultural supremacy, unmatched by any other species. Yet this grandeur came at a price. Hubris, decadence, and an insatiable pursuit of hedonistic pleasures led to their catastrophic downfall, the birth of the chaos god Slaanesh. This apocalyptic event, known as the Fall, shattered the Eldar civilization, leaving its survivors scattered and broken. The earliest architects of the path were visionary leaders and spiritual guides aboard the craft worlds. These individuals understood that the Eldar psyche was both their greatest strength and their greatest vulnerability. With their advanced understanding of the soul and its connection to the warp, they developed a disciplined system to channel the Eldar's potent emotions and psychic abilities into structured, purposeful lives. The path was designed not only as a means of survival, but also as a spiritual framework, offering both protection from external threats and a measure of inner peace. At its core, the path is a series of disciplines or paths that an Asuryani may walk during their lifetime. Each path represents a focused pursuit or vocation, such as artistry, war, craftsmanship, or spiritual exploration. When an Eldar commits to a path, they devote themselves entirely to mastering its principles, often for centuries. This intense focus serves a dual purpose. It owns the individual's skills to unparalleled levels and shields their psyche from the dangers of unchecked emotion and psychic feedback. The inception of the path system began aboard the earliest craft worlds, where survival demanded rigid organization and a clear sense of purpose. The path of the warrior, for example, arose as a response to the growing threats faced by the fledgling craft worlds in a hostile galaxy. The Eldar who walked this path committed themselves to becoming instruments of war, mastering the art of combat to defend their people. Similarly, the path of the seer emerged as a means of guiding the craft worlds through their psychic connection to the warp, allowing them to navigate its treacherous currents while avoiding the predations of chaos. Each craft world adapted the path to its unique circumstances, imbuing the system with their own cultural nuances. For instance, the craft world of Ulthwé, situated near the perilous Eye of Terror, became renowned for its mastery of the path of the seer, as its survival depended heavily on psychic foresight. Other craft worlds, such as Bieltan, emphasized the path of the warrior, dedicating themselves to reclaiming lost Eldar worlds and avenging their fallen kin. The adoption of the path was not without resistance. Many among the early Asuryani struggled with the restrictions it imposed, viewing it as a harsh and joyless existence compared to the unbridled freedom of their ancestors. Yet, as the horrors of the fall became undeniable and the perils of the warp loomed ever closer, more and more Eldar embraced the path as a necessary sacrifice. Over time, it became the defining characteristic of Asuryani culture, a unifying force that preserved their identity while steering them away from the temptations of excess. The path is not a rigid doctrine, but a living framework, one that evolves with the needs of the Asuryani. It is deeply intertwined with their psychic nature, offering a means of both channeling and containing their immense potential. While it demands discipline and sacrifice, it also provides the Asuryani with purpose, structure, and a measure of safety in a galaxy that offers them none. Ultimately, the path of the Asuryani represents their collective will to survive against insurmountable odds. It is a testament to their resilience and adaptability, a way of life that enables them to endure the long shadow of their past while striving toward a future where their legacy may endure. This system, born from the ashes of their civilization, is both a shield against external threats and a guide for navigating the complexities of their existence. In the face of a galaxy that seeks their destruction, the path is their salvation and their burden. The creation of the path of the Asuryani was a direct consequence of the catastrophic collapse of the Eldar Empire, a civilization that had reached unparalleled heights of technological and psychic mastery. However, it was not merely their achievements that defined them, but also their eventual descent into hubris, hedonism, and unchecked excess. Understanding what led to the establishment of the path requires an exploration of the deep-seated flaws and circumstances that brought the once mighty Eldar to their knees. For millennia, the Eldar thrived as the galaxy's preeminent species, their dominion spanning countless worlds and their influence unrivaled. Their advanced knowledge allowed them to manipulate reality itself through psychic energy, and their mastery of science and art brought them to a zenith of cultural sophistication. Yet, their unparalleled gifts became their greatest weakness. Over generations, the Eldar began to view themselves as infallible, their society increasingly devoted to the pursuit of pleasure and personal gratification. Freed from the struggles that typically temper civilizations, their morality eroded, replaced by a self-destructive indulgence in decadence. The seeds of this decline were sown in their psychic nature. Unlike most other species, the Eldar possess a profound connection to the warp, a dimension of pure energy that mirrors the emotions and desires of living beings. This connection grants them incredible power, but also exposes them to immense danger. As the Eldar society grew more hedonistic, their psychic emanations began to saturate the warp with unchecked excess and depravity. These energies, concentrated over countless millennia, began to coalesce, giving birth to a nascent chaos entity. Among the remnants of this once mighty race are the Asuryani, or Craftworld Eldar, who represent a desperate attempt to preserve the glory of their past while avoiding the temptations that led to their ruin. These survivors fled aboard massive, self-sustaining starships known as Craftworlds, each a microcosm of their former civilization. It was aboard these Craftworlds that the Asuryani devised a unique system to safeguard their souls and maintain discipline in the face of a galaxy that constantly threatens to corrupt or annihilate them. Despite warnings from those who foresaw the growing peril, the Eldar leadership dismissed any notion of restraint. Their civilization fractured as dissenters abandoned the core worlds, fleeing aboard massive craft worlds that would later become the sanctuaries of the Asuryani. Among those who remained, the pursuit of self-indulgence continued unchecked, spiraling into ever more extreme manifestations of cruelty and debauchery. Entire societies became cults to their own desires, and the unity of the Eldar Empire crumbled as factions turned inward, losing sight of the greater galaxy around them. The tipping point came with the cataclysmic event known as the Fall. As the culmination of their psychic excesses, the chaos god Slaanesh was born, an event that sent shockwaves through the warp and the material realm alike. The Birth of Slaanesh unleashed a psychic scream so powerful that it consumed the souls of billions of Eldar in an instant, reducing their once great worlds to lifeless husks. The core of their empire, centered around the webway nexus known as the Crone Worlds, was transformed into a nightmare realm within the warp itself. The survivors of the fall were few, scattered across the galaxy. Some were protected by the Craft Worlds, massive self-sustaining starships that had departed the Eldar core worlds in time to avoid the brunt of the disaster. Others fled into the webway, becoming the enigmatic and shadowy Drukhari, who embraced an even darker path to sustain their existence. Among those aboard the Craft Worlds, a grim realization took hold. The fall was not an accident of fate, but a direct result of their collective choices and failure to impose discipline on their boundless potential. It was in the aftermath of this tragedy that the first seeds of the path were sown. The Asuryani realized that their psychic connection to the warp was both their greatest strength and their most dangerous vulnerability. Without strict discipline and structure, their emotions and desires could once again feed the malevolent forces of chaos. The leaders and philosophers of the Craft Worlds came together to devise a way of life that would shield their people from their own weaknesses. They sought not only to prevent another catastrophe, but to forge a new identity, one defined by purpose, restraint, and resilience. The path emerged as a deliberate rejection of the excesses that had led to their downfall. It was a system that imposed order on chaos, channeling the Eldar's immense potential into focused pursuits. By committing themselves to a single discipline at a time, the Asuryani could suppress their more destructive impulses while still achieving mastery in their chosen fields. The path became a means of survival, a way to ensure that their psychic energy would not contribute to the creation of new horrors in the warp. This transformation was not merely a cultural shift, but a profound spiritual awakening. The Asuryani recognized that their very survival depended on their ability to redefine what it meant to be Eldar. The path was not only a safeguard against the external threats of the galaxy, but a bulwark against their own inner demons. It represented a commitment to discipline, self-control, and the preservation of their souls in a universe that seemed determined to consume them. The path of the Asuryani is the result of a civilization's reckoning with its darkest truths. It stands as a testament to the resilience of a people who refuse to be defined by their past mistakes. In the wake of the fall, the Asuryani chose not to succumb to despair, but to forge a new way of life, one that would allow them to endure in a galaxy filled with chaos, war, and death. Their story is a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable loss, there is always the possibility of redemption through discipline and purpose. The path of the Asuryani did not emerge as a fully formed system, but evolved over centuries, shaped by necessity and the relentless challenges of survival in a hostile galaxy. Its development was a gradual process, refined through the collective experience of the craft worlds as they navigated the aftermath of the fall. Each stage in its evolution reflects the growing understanding of the Asuryani about their nature, their limitations, and the means to preserve their fragile existence. In the earliest days following the fall, the survivors aboard the craft worlds faced an immediate crisis of survival. Their numbers were diminished, and the galaxy they once dominated was now filled with predators, both alien and supernatural. Initially, their efforts were focused on securing their physical safety and adapting their advanced technologies to sustain isolated, self-contained societies. It was during this period that the foundations of the path were laid, as the leaders of the craft worlds began to recognize the need for a disciplined way of life that could address not only external threats, but also the psychological scars left by the fall. The first iteration of the path was rudimentary, centered around the need for martial discipline and psychic containment. The path of the warrior emerged as one of the earliest and most crucial aspects, born out of the necessity to defend the craft worlds from external enemies. Eldar who chose this path devoted themselves entirely to the study and practice of warfare, transforming their emotions into focused fury on the battlefield. This disciplined approach to combat allowed them to channel their psychic energy safely, preventing it from spiraling out of control and feeding the forces of chaos. This system, known as the Path, is a strict and highly regimented way of life that governs every aspect of an Asuryani's existence. Unlike their fallen kin, who indulged in boundless freedoms, the Asuryani recognized that such liberties had led to their downfall. To walk the path is to submit oneself to discipline, to focus one's mind and spirit on a single pursuit at a time, be it art, war, or spirituality. It is a life of self-control and purpose, designed to shield the Asuryani from the temptations that once destroyed their civilization. Simultaneously, the path of the seer began to take shape. The craft worlds relied heavily on their farseers, who used their psychic abilities to foresee threats and guide their people through the perilous currents of the warp. However, the immense psychic strain of these responsibilities often led to dangerous feedback, risking corruption or insanity. The path of the seer was developed as a structured approach to psychic training, providing seers with the tools to manage their gifts and avoid the pitfalls that had doomed so many of their ancestors. As these initial paths took root, the craft worlds began to expand the concept, recognizing that the discipline of the path could be applied to all aspects of life. The path of the artisan emerged to preserve and advance the Eldar's mastery of craft and technology. This path allowed individuals to focus their creative energy on producing works of unparalleled beauty and utility, while also providing a constructive outlet for their emotions. Similarly, the path of the poet and the path of the dancer arose to channel the Eldar's artistic and cultural impulses into structured expressions of their rich heritage. Over time, the concept of the path grew more sophisticated, incorporating additional layers of spiritual and psychological insight. The path of the outcast, for instance, was established as a way to accommodate those who struggled with the constraints of craft world life. Eldar who could not find fulfillment within the confines of the other paths were permitted to leave the craft world temporarily, embarking on solitary journeys through the galaxy. This path provided an essential safety valve, allowing individuals to explore their desires without endangering the craft world as a whole. As the path system matured, it became an integral part of Asuryani culture, shaping their society at every level. The craft worlds themselves were reorganized to support the path, with each individual's chosen discipline determining their role within the community. Eldar society became a tapestry of interconnected paths, each contributing to the survival and flourishing of the whole. This structured approach brought a sense of stability and purpose to the Asuryani, enabling them to endure in the face of relentless adversity. The evolution of the path was not without challenges. As the system became more entrenched, it revealed its own limitations and contradictions. Some Eldar found themselves trapped within their chosen path, unable to move on even when their initial purpose was fulfilled. This phenomenon, known as being lost on the path, highlighted the dangers of overcommitment and the rigidity of the system. Despite these difficulties, the Asuryani continued to refine the path, seeking to balance discipline with flexibility. Each craft world contributed to the development of the path in its own way, reflecting the unique circumstances and priorities of their inhabitants. Bieltan, with its emphasis on reclaiming lost Eldar worlds, expanded the martial aspects of the path of the warrior, creating a highly specialized warrior caste. Ulthwé, situated near the Eye of Terror, placed greater importance on the path of the seer, developing advanced techniques for navigating the warp and predicting future events. Saimhan, known for its free-spirited culture, adapted the path to include a greater focus on exploration and individuality. Throughout its evolution, the path remained a dynamic and adaptive system, reflecting the resilience and ingenuity of the Asuryani. It became more than a tool for survival. It was a way of life, a means of preserving their identity and purpose in a galaxy that had sought to erase them. The path allowed the Asuryani to channel their immense potential into focused and constructive endeavors, ensuring that their psychic gifts would be a source of strength rather than destruction. By the time the path reached its mature form, it had become the cornerstone of Asuryani society, defining their culture and guiding their destiny. It stood as a testament to their determination to learn from the mistakes of the past, transforming tragedy into a source of wisdom and strength. The development of the path was a journey of self-discovery and renewal, one that continues to shape the Asuryani as they navigate the challenges of the 41st millennium. The path of the Asuryani, as a structured way of life, owes its existence to a series of pivotal events and decisions that shaped its principles and ensured its survival. These moments were not isolated but interconnected, each building upon the lessons of the past while responding to new challenges. Together, they forged the path into the multifaceted system that defines the Asuryani today. One of the first significant turning points was the recognition of psychic discipline as a matter of survival. Following the cataclysmic fall, it became clear that the unchecked use of psychic abilities had been a key factor in the Eldar's downfall. The leaders of the surviving craft worlds convened to discuss the creation of a framework to guide the responsible use of these powers. Their deliberations resulted in the establishment of the Path of the Seer, a structured approach to psychic training that combined rigorous mental discipline with spiritual safeguards. This decision was critical not only for the preservation of individual seers, but also for the safety of entire craft worlds, shielding them from the warp's predatory forces. However, the path is more than a tool of survival. It is a spiritual journey, one that shapes every Asuryani's understanding of their place in the universe. Each step along the path is a choice, a struggle, and often a sacrifice. While the path offers stability and purpose, it also imposes restrictions that can be as much a burden as a blessing. For some, the path becomes a trap, binding their souls too tightly and leaving them unable to move forward. For others, it is a guiding light, helping them achieve heights of greatness and understanding that transcend mortal limitations. The next critical moment came with the development of the path of the warrior. As the craft worlds ventured into a galaxy rife with threats, both from alien species and the remnants of chaos, they needed defenders capable of channeling their immense psychic and physical potential into disciplined combat. The founding of this path marked a shift in the Asuryani mindset, away from the passive avoidance of conflict and toward an active stance of self-defense. The warrior path's creation involved crafting specialized doctrines, such as those of the Dire Avengers, Howling Banshees, and Dark Reapers, each embodying a specific aspect of battle. This codification of martial disciplines ensured that the Asuryani could meet their enemies with precision and resolve. Another major decision was the formalization of the path of the Outcast, a response to the internal pressures of the path system itself. While the path offered structure and safety, its restrictions proved stifling for some. Eldar, who felt unable to continue within their chosen discipline, were given the option to leave the craft world temporarily, embarking on journeys that allowed them to explore their desires and individuality. This decision was not taken lightly, as it posed risks both to the individual and the community. However, the path of the outcast ultimately proved to be a necessary safety valve, preventing psychological breakdowns and allowing those who returned to reintegrate into the craft world's tightly knit society. The decision to embrace artistic and cultural disciplines as formal paths was another watershed moment. Following the fall, many Asuryani feared that the pursuit of beauty and creativity might lead to the same hedonism that had doomed their ancestors. However, visionary leaders argued that art, music, and dance were not merely indulgences, but essential means of preserving the soul and cultural identity. Thus, paths like the path of the poet and the path of the artisan were formalized, allowing the Asuryani to express their emotions constructively while remaining disciplined and purposeful. These paths ensured that their culture would endure and evolve, even in the shadow of their civilization's destruction. A pivotal decision in the evolution of the path was the adoption of the Infinity Circuit, a technological and spiritual innovation that addressed the Asuryani's fear of soul consumption by Slaanesh. Each craft world established its own Infinity Circuit, a psychic network into which the souls of deceased Eldar could safely pass. This system was deeply intertwined with the path, as it allowed the Asuryani to focus on their individual journeys without the fear that their souls would be lost upon death. The creation of the Infinity Circuit reinforced the spiritual dimension of the path, linking it not only to the material survival of the craft worlds, but also to the eternal preservation of their people. One of the most critical decisions regarding the path came in the face of external challenges. As the craft worlds encountered other galactic powers, particularly the Imperium of Man, the Orcs, and the forces of Chaos, the Asuryani had to decide how their disciplined way of life would interact with the realities of war and diplomacy. Their leaders recognized that the path's principles could not be compromised, even in the face of existential threats. This commitment to the path meant that the Asuryani often adopted an insular approach, choosing self-reliance and careful planning over alliances that might jeopardize their culture. The path's flexibility was also tested during moments of internal crisis. On some craft worlds, the rigid enforcement of the path led to divisions, as individuals struggled against its constraints. These crises prompted reforms, such as the introduction of mentorship systems where experienced Eldar guided younger ones through their chosen paths. Such adaptations ensure that the path remained dynamic and responsive to the needs of its followers, rather than becoming a static and oppressive doctrine. Finally, the decision to integrate the path with the craft world's broader spiritual practices cemented its role as the cornerstone of Asuryani society. Temples, shrines, and ritual spaces dedicated to various paths became central features of the craft worlds, fostering a sense of communal purpose and continuity. This integration was particularly evident in the rituals of transition, where individuals ceremonially moved from one path to another, marking significant milestones in their personal and spiritual journeys. Through these key events and decisions, the path of the Asuryani evolved into more than a survival mechanism. It became a profound statement of their identity and resilience. It represents the Asuryani's determination to rise above their darkest mistakes and forge a future defined by discipline, purpose, and hope. Each step in its development reflects their refusal to succumb to despair, their willingness to adapt, and their enduring commitment to safeguarding their souls in a galaxy fraught with peril. The path of the Asuryani, born from necessity and tempered by experience, has left an indelible mark on the galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. It is not only the cornerstone of Asuryani's survival, but also a significant influence on their interactions with other species, their role in galactic conflicts, and the overarching struggle against chaos. Its presence is felt in both the grand stage of interstellar war and the subtler currents of diplomacy, culture, and psychic phenomena. At its core, the path shapes how the Asuryani engage with the galaxy's constant turbulence. Unlike other factions, whose strategies often hinge on overwhelming force or reckless expansion, the Asuryani embody precision, foresight, and calculated intervention. Their adherence to the path's discipline allows them to act with unparalleled efficiency, striking where their actions will have the greatest impact. This approach is most evident in their military engagements. The path of the warrior produces soldiers of unmatched skill and focus, each embodying a specialized aspect of combat. Whether it is the devastating precision of a Dark Reaper or the fluid lethality of a howling banshee, these warriors operate with a unity of purpose that can turn the tide of battles far larger than their numbers would suggest. The story of the path of the Asuryani is not merely one of survival. It is a testament to the resilience of a people who refuse to surrender to despair. Through the path, the Asuryani have forged a way of life that allows them to endure in a galaxy teeming with war, chaos, and death. It is a story of hope, discipline, and the eternal struggle to balance freedom and restraint, creativity and control. Beyond the battlefield, the path profoundly influences the Asuryani's role as navigators of the warp. The path of the seer ensures that the Asuryani's psychic talents are not only a weapon, but a shield against the chaotic forces that permeate the galaxy. Farseers and warlocks, trained to walk this path, guide their craft worlds with unparalleled foresight, allowing the Asuryani to anticipate threats and adapt their strategies accordingly. This psychic acumen enables the Asuryani to maintain their autonomy, avoiding the pitfalls that have ensnared so many other factions. Their mastery over the warp also positions them as vital players in the ongoing struggle against chaos, as their interventions often disrupt the plans of the ruinous powers at critical junctures. The path's influence extends beyond the material and psychic realms into the cultural and philosophical. By preserving the core of their identity through disciplined artistic and spiritual practices, the Asuryani act as custodians of their species' heritage. While their ancient empire has long since crumbled, the vibrancy of their art, music, and craftsmanship ensures that the memory of their civilization endures. These cultural expressions often resonate with other species, serving as a reminder of the heights that sentient life can achieve. However, they also act as a stark contrast to the destruction wrought by unchecked ambition and excess, a cautionary tale woven into every artifact and performance. In their encounters with other galactic powers, the path has dictated a strategy of measured interaction. The Asuryani rarely seek alliances, wary of entanglements that might compromise their independence or moral integrity. Instead, they often act as enigmatic guides, sharing their knowledge selectively to influence events without fully committing themselves. For example, when the survival of the galaxy hinges on unity, the Asuryani might provide cryptic warnings or strategic assistance, ensuring that their contributions align with their long-term goals. This cautious diplomacy, while effective in preserving their culture, often engenders mistrust and misunderstanding among other factions who struggle to decipher the Asuryani's true motives. The impact of the path is also evident in the Asuryani's relationship with their kin. Among the fragmented remnants of the Eldar race, the craft worlds stand as bastions of hope and resilience. While the Drukhari embrace a darker existence within the webway, and the Exodites pursue a simpler life on isolated worlds, the Asuryani's structured way of life serves as a unifying ideal. Their adherence to the path demonstrates that survival is possible without succumbing to depravity or despair. Though divisions persist among these disparate groups, the Asuryani's example offers a blueprint for reclaiming the dignity and purpose of their shared heritage. On a galactic scale, the path has played a critical role in preserving the balance of power. The Asuryani's interventions often prevent catastrophic shifts that could otherwise plunge the galaxy deeper into chaos. Whether by thwarting a chaos incursion, neutralizing a particularly destructive Orc-Wa, or mitigating the spread of Tyrannid hive fleets, their actions ripple across the fabric of history. These moments of intervention are rarely recognized for their full significance as the Asuryani operate in the shadows, prioritizing results over recognition. However, the outcomes of their efforts often resonate far beyond the immediate context, influencing the trajectories of entire sectors and even the fate of the galaxy itself. The path's influence is not without its challenges. The discipline and restraint it demands often isolate the Asuryani from the broader currents of galactic life. Their reluctance to form lasting alliances or share their knowledge freely limits their ability to foster mutual understanding with other species. Moreover, their rigid adherence to the path sometimes leads to internal struggles as individuals grapple with the constraints it imposes. These tensions occasionally manifest in cracks within the craft world's unity, forcing them to confront the delicate balance between tradition and adaptability. Despite these challenges, the path remains a beacon of resilience in a galaxy defined by its chaos and brutality. It is both a tool of survival and a statement of defiance, a way for the Asuryani to endure not as remnants of a fallen empire, but as architects of their destiny. Its impact is felt not only in the lives of the Asuryani, but in the broader tapestry of the galaxy, where every decision shaped by the path carries echoes of their struggle, their wisdom, and their hope. In a universe of endless conflict, the path of the Asuryani stands as a testament to the enduring power of discipline, purpose, and the will to rise above despair. The path of the Asuryani is not merely a survival mechanism, but a profound cultural and spiritual framework that encapsulates the essence of their existence. It reflects their collective identity, shaped by their psychic nature, their tragic history, and their determination to endure. Each aspect of the path is imbued with unique qualities that distinguish the Asuryani from all other species in the galaxy, creating a way of life that balances the physical, mental, and spiritual dimensions of their being. One of the most distinctive features of the path is its modularity. Unlike rigid systems that dictate a singular way of life, the path is composed of multiple interwoven disciplines, each offering a focused avenue for growth and mastery. An individual may walk the path of the artisan to hone their creative instincts, then transition to the path of the warrior to serve as a defender of their craft world, before eventually exploring the path of the seer to deepen their understanding of the warp. This fluidity allows the Asuryani to adapt their lives to changing circumstances, ensuring that their personal journey aligns with both their aspirations and the needs of their community. Central to the path's uniqueness is its reliance on psychic resonance as both a tool and a challenge. The Asuryani are an inherently psychic race, and this connection to the warp informs every aspect of their existence. The disciplines of the path are designed to channel this psychic energy constructively, preventing it from becoming a liability. For example, the path of the seer trains its practitioners to navigate the dangers of the warp with precision, using their psychic talents to foresee potential futures and guide their craft worlds through perilous times. Similarly, the path of the warrior incorporates rituals and meditative practices that focus the emotional intensity of combat into controlled lethal precision, preventing psychic feedback from overwhelming the individual. As we embark on this exploration of the path of the Asuryani, we will delve into its origins, its impact on Asuryani society, and the individuals who exemplify its principles. From the intricate disciplines of the path of the warrior to the serene meditations of the path of the seer, each aspect of the path reflects the unique challenges and triumphs of the Asuryani race. This journey will uncover the complexities of their existence, the sacrifices they make to preserve their souls, and the enduring legacy of a people determined to reclaim their destiny among the stars. The path also reflects the Asuryani's deep understanding of balance and duality. It is not simply a means of restricting excess, but a carefully constructed system that allows for the safe expression of their passions and creativity. The path of the artisan, for instance, encourages the pursuit of beauty and innovation, channeling the Asuryani's innate drive for perfection into works that inspire and endure. Likewise, the path of the poet and the path of the musician serve as outlets for their emotional depth, transforming personal experiences into artistic expressions that resonate across generations. This integration of discipline with creative freedom ensures that the Asuryani can sustain their cultural legacy without succumbing to the temptations that once led to their downfall. Another unique aspect of the path is its communal dimension. While each individual's journey is deeply personal, the path is inherently connected to the collective well-being of the craft world. The success of one path reinforces the stability of the others, creating a harmonious interplay between warriors, artisans, seers, and other practitioners. This interconnectedness fosters a strong sense of unity and purpose within the craft worlds, where every Eldar understands their role as part of a greater whole. This collective spirit is reinforced through ceremonies and rituals that mark transitions between paths, celebrating personal growth while reaffirming the bonds of community. The path also stands out for its capacity to accommodate the complexities of Asuryani psychology. Their heightened emotional intensity and psychic sensitivity make them uniquely vulnerable to the dangers of unrestrained desire and unchecked ambition. The path mitigates these risks by providing a structured environment where emotions can be safely explored and mastered. For example, the path of the warrior teaches its followers to embrace their anger and fear without being consumed by them, transforming these powerful emotions into tools of survival and protection. Similarly, the path of the seer offers a means of navigating the labyrinth of psychic visions and premonitions, allowing its practitioners to harness their gifts without succumbing to madness. A particularly striking feature of the path is its integration with the craft world's physical and spiritual infrastructure. The Infinity Circuit, a psychic network that houses the souls of the deceased, is intimately tied to the path, serving as both a sanctuary for departed spirits and a source of guidance for the living. Eldar who have walked multiple paths often leave behind a wealth of wisdom and experience that can be accessed by future generations through the circuit. This connection creates a continuous cycle of learning and growth, where the past informs the present and the living draw strength from the accumulated knowledge of their ancestors. The flexibility of the path is another defining characteristic. While its core principles remain constant, Each craft world interprets and adapts the path to suit its unique circumstances. Biel-Tan, with its focus on reclaiming lost Eldar worlds, emphasizes the martial aspects of the path, producing warriors who embody the ideals of vengeance and restoration. In contrast, Ulthwé, positioned near the Eye of Terror, prioritizes the psychic disciplines of the path, ensuring that its seers are equipped to navigate the warp's dangers. This adaptability allows the path to remain relevant and effective across the diverse challenges faced by the Asuryani. Finally, the path's spiritual dimension sets it apart as a way of life that transcends mere practicality. It is not simply a means of survival, but a profound statement of hope and defiance. By walking the path, the Asuryani reject the despair that might otherwise consume them, choosing instead to embrace a disciplined and purposeful existence. Each path represents a step toward personal and collective redemption, a way to honor their heritage while forging a new future. In this sense, the path is not only a shield against the dangers of the galaxy, but a beacon of resilience, guiding the Asuryani through the darkness of their past toward the light of their potential. The path of the Asuryani has been walked by countless individuals, each leaving their mark on the legacy of their people. Some among them have risen to legendary status, exemplifying the virtues and challenges of the path through their extraordinary deeds, profound wisdom, or unmatched mastery of their chosen discipline. These figures are not just heroes of their craft worlds. They are embodiments of the Asuryani's resilience, discipline, and commitment to their way of life. One of the most renowned figures is Eldrad Ulthran, a Farseer of unparalleled foresight and a guiding hand for the craft world Ulthwé. Eldrad's mastery of the path of the seer is unmatched, his psychic talents enabling him to navigate the labyrinthine currents of the warp with extraordinary precision. He has spent millennia safeguarding his people, predicting threats before they arise, and orchestrating intricate plans to preserve the balance of power in the galaxy. His visions often extend far into the future, allowing him to influence events on a grand scale. Despite his aloof demeanor, Eldrad's actions reflect a profound commitment to the survival of the Asuryani, even when his methods are misunderstood or mistrusted by others. Karandras, the Shadow Hunter, is a figure who epitomizes the path of the warrior, specifically within the aspect of the striking scorpions. Known for his mastery of stealth and brutal efficiency, Karandras is both a mentor and a warning. His dedication to his path is so complete that it defines his very existence, yet it also serves as a reminder of the dangers of becoming lost on the path. Karandras inherited the mantle of Phoenix Lord from Ara, the original founder of the Striking Scorpions after Ara's fall to corruption. This transition symbolizes the perpetual struggle between discipline and excess that lies at the heart of the path. Karandras's legend continues to inspire new generations of warriors, reminding them of the fine line they must walk. Another towering figure is Jain-Zar, the Storm of Silence, the Phoenix Lord of the Howling Banshees. As one of the most celebrated warriors in Asuryani history, Jain-Zar's dedication to the path of the warrior is a testament to her indomitable spirit and unparalleled skill. She embodies the grace, ferocity, and discipline that define her path, and her presence on the battlefield is said to inspire awe and terror in equal measure. Jain-Zar's teachings have shaped countless howling banshees, and her example serves as a guiding light for those who walk the warrior path. Her legend is one of perseverance and adaptability as she continues to fight for the survival of her people across millennia. With the prologue set, we now turn to the key players who embody and uphold the path, shaping the destiny of the Asuryani across the galaxy. Iana Arinal, often called the Angel of Iyanden, is a prominent figure on the path of the Spirit Seer. Hailing from the craft world of Iyanden, which has faced immense losses to Tyranid invasions, Iana's role is both spiritual and practical. As a Spirit Seer, she bridges the gap between the living and the dead, communing with the souls housed within the craft world's infinity circuit and guiding the wraith constructs animated by those spirits. Iana's leadership and compassion have made her a beloved figure among her people as she channels her psychic gifts to inspire hope and unity in the face of despair. Her example highlights the path's spiritual dimension, showing how discipline and purpose can transcend even the boundaries of life and death. A lesser-known but equally compelling figure is Asuryani, a representative of the path of the outcast. Unlike many of his peers, Asuryani chose to leave his craft world of Alatok, seeking freedom and purpose beyond the constraints of the path. As a ranger, he exemplifies the struggles and contradictions faced by those who walk the outcast path. While his journeys across the galaxy have brought him a wealth of experience and insight, they have also alienated him from his kin. Asuryani's story reflects the tension between individual desires and communal responsibilities, offering a nuanced perspective on the path's strengths and limitations. Morgan Ra, the Harvester of Souls, is a figure of dark renown who personifies the path of the warrior's extremes. As the Phoenix Lord of the Dark Reapers, Morgan Ra is a grim and relentless force, his prowess in ranged combat unmatched. His creation of the Magatar, a weapon that combines a shuriken cannon with a scythe blade, symbolizes his fusion of lethality and precision. Morgan Ra's history is steeped in tragedy, as he played a central role in the salvation of his craft world, Altanzar, from the warp. This feat came at great personal cost, reinforcing the duality of sacrifice and triumph that defines the path. These figures, each with their unique paths and legacies, embody the diverse possibilities and challenges of the path of the Asuryani. Their stories offer insights into the depth and complexity of Asuryani culture, showing how discipline and dedication can lead to greatness, while also highlighting the inherent dangers of their way of life. Through their actions, they ensure that the lessons of the path endure, inspiring future generations to walk its disciplined yet treacherous course. The path of the Asuryani, while deeply ingrained in their culture and essential for their survival, is not without its mysteries and unresolved questions. Despite its structure and purpose, it raises profound philosophical and existential dilemmas, as well as practical challenges that continue to spark debate among the Asuryani and observers of their society. These questions touch on the path's origins, its limitations, and its implications for the future of the Asuryani race. One of the most enduring mysteries is the true origin of the path. While it is understood to have been developed in the aftermath of the fall, the specifics of how the path was conceived remain elusive. Did it arise from a single vision or individual, or was it the result of collective deliberation among the early survivors aboard the craft worlds? Some speculate that the path was inspired by ancient Eldar philosophies predating the fall, rediscovered and adapted for a new era. Others suggest that it was a desperate improvised solution crafted by the first Farseers, whose psychic foresight allowed them to glimpse the long-term consequences of unrestrained behavior. This uncertainty leaves room for speculation about whether the path is truly the best possible framework or simply the one born out of necessity at the time. Another unresolved question concerns the extent to which the path can evolve. While it has adapted to the unique circumstances of individual craft worlds, the system's rigid structure can sometimes conflict with the fluidity of individual desires and the unpredictable nature of the galaxy. For instance, the path of the outcast exists as a concession to those who cannot conform to the system, but it does not fully resolve the tension between personal freedom and communal responsibility. Can the path accommodate greater flexibility without undermining its core purpose? Or does its effectiveness depend on its rigidity, leaving little room for reform? The phenomenon of becoming lost on the path also remains a subject of concern and mystery. Some individuals find themselves unable to transition to another discipline, becoming permanently consumed by their current path. This state raises questions about the psychological and spiritual toll of the path's intense focus. What causes some to become trapped while others move on successfully? Are there underlying factors, such as past traumas, personal predispositions, or external influences, that predispose individuals to this fate? Furthermore, is being lost on the path always a negative outcome, or can it sometimes lead to exceptional achievements that would be impossible without such unwavering dedication? The integration of the path with the Infinity Circuit presents another area of speculation. The souls of deceased Asuryani are preserved within the Infinity Circuit, where they continue to influence their craft worlds. Yet, the relationship between the living and the spirits within the circuit is not fully understood. Do these souls play an active role in shaping the paths of the living, subtly guiding their decisions, or is their influence limited to serving as repositories of knowledge and experience? Additionally, some theorists propose that the Infinity Circuit itself might one day achieve a form of sentience, transforming the collective consciousness of a craft world into something entirely new. If this were to occur, how would it impact the path and the lives of those who walk it? Another unresolved issue lies in the path's long-term sustainability. The Asuryani are a dwindling race, and the discipline required by the path often limits reproduction and the growth of their population. Some question whether the path's focus on individual mastery and spiritual purity comes at the expense of the broader survival of the species. Would a loosening of the path's restrictions allow for greater adaptability and expansion, or would such a shift lead to the same excesses that caused the fall? This dilemma highlights the tension between preserving cultural integrity and addressing the practical demands of survival in a hostile galaxy. The path of the Asuryani was not born out of tradition or gradual evolution, but from an urgent need to survive. After the catastrophic event known as the Fall, a galaxy-shaking calamity that marked the creation of Slaanesh and the near-total annihilation of the Eldar Empire, those who survived were left to grapple with a profound existential crisis. For a civilization that once held dominion over the stars, their new reality was one of isolation, danger, and despair. It was in this crucible of desperation that the path was forged. The role of the path in the Asuryani's interactions with other factions is another point of contention. Their adherence to discipline and self-reliance often isolates them from potential allies, leaving them to face threats alone. While this approach aligns with their desire to avoid external influence, some wonder whether a more open stance could foster alliances that benefit their long-term goals. Are there aspects of the path that could be shared or adapted by other species, creating common ground without compromising Asuryani identity? Conversely, is the path so uniquely tied to their psychic nature and cultural history that any attempt to externalize it would be futile or even dangerous? The ultimate question that looms over the path is its endgame. Does the path represent a permanent solution for the Asuryani, or is it a temporary measure meant to stabilize their civilization until they can find a more enduring path forward? Some Asuryani believe that their ultimate destiny lies in the reawakening of their gods or the reclamation of their lost empire, while others see the path as an end in itself, a way of life that ensures their survival in perpetuity. This divergence of opinion reflects the broader uncertainty about the Asuryani's place in the galaxy and their potential for resurgence. Lastly, the path's spiritual dimensions raise profound questions about the nature of the soul and its relationship to the warp. By walking the path, the Asuryani aim to shield their souls from Slaanesh, yet the exact mechanics of this protection remain unclear. Is the discipline of the path sufficient to sever their psychic connection to the warp's darker aspects, or is it merely a delaying tactic? Could there exist a deeper, more fundamental connection between the path and the warp that has yet to be uncovered? These questions challenge the Asuryani to continuously reflect on the spiritual implications of their choices and the true nature of their existence. These mysteries and unanswered questions highlight the complexity of the path of the Asuryani, reflecting both its strengths and its limitations. While it provides a framework for survival and purpose, it is also a living system, shaped by the challenges and uncertainties of a galaxy in constant flux. As the Asuryani continue to walk the path, they are not only preserving their heritage, but also exploring the boundaries of their potential, seeking answers to the questions that define their very existence. The path of the Asuryani stands as one of the most remarkable constructs of survival and adaptation in a galaxy rife with chaos and destruction. Its influence, both within the Asuryani culture and across the broader expanse of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, continues to ripple through time, shaping not only the fate of the Eldar, but also the balance of power among the galaxy's factions. As the Asuryani navigate their uncertain future, the long-term consequences of the path unfold in ways that are both profound and far-reaching. For the Asuryani, the path is more than a way of life. It is the foundation of their resilience and identity. Without it, they would likely have been consumed by the same excesses that led to their downfall during the fall. The path has allowed them to maintain their discipline and focus, channeling their immense psychic potential into productive and protective endeavors. While their numbers dwindle, the mastery of their chosen disciplines ensures that every individual plays a crucial role in the survival of their craft worlds. This meticulous balance has enabled them to endure against overwhelming odds, preserving their culture and legacy even as the galaxy grows increasingly hostile. One of the most significant long-term impacts of the path is its role in containing the influence of Slaanesh. The creation of the Chaos God during the Fall was the greatest tragedy in Eldar history, and its shadow looms over every Asuryani. By walking the path, they limit their psychic emissions and emotional excesses, depriving Slaanesh of the energy it craves. This resistance not only safeguards their souls, but also represents a symbolic defiance against chaos itself. The Asuryani's survival serves as a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable loss and corruption, it is possible to reclaim agency and fight back. The path has also ensured that the Asuryani remain key players in the galaxy's intricate web of conflicts and alliances. Their highly disciplined way of life enables them to act with precision and foresight, often intervening in critical moments to influence the course of events. Whether thwarting chaos incursions, mitigating the spread of Tyranid hive fleets, or halting orc rampages, the Asuryani's actions have averted numerous catastrophes that could have reshaped the galaxy. Although they are often misunderstood and mistrusted by other factions, their interventions are guided by a long-term vision that extends far beyond immediate victories. On a cultural level, the path serves as a beacon of continuity for the Asuryani. Despite their diminished numbers and the loss of their empire, the path allows them to preserve their heritage, their art, and their spirituality. It acts as a bridge between the past and the present, enabling the Asuryani to honor the achievements of their ancestors while forging a future shaped by discipline and purpose. This cultural preservation is vital not only for the Asuryani themselves, but also for the galaxy, as it maintains a fragment of the beauty and wisdom that once defined the Eldar. However, the path's impact is not without its complexities. Its strict discipline, while essential for survival, can also stifle innovation and adaptability. The rigid structure of the path may prevent the Asuryani from fully exploring alternative ways of life that could address the challenges of their dwindling population and limited resources. This tension between preservation and progress creates an ongoing dilemma, as the Asuryani must constantly evaluate whether their adherence to the path is a strength or a limitation in an ever-changing galaxy. The Eldar of the craft worlds recognized that their downfall had been seeded by their unbridled pursuit of excess. Their immense psychic potential, once a source of pride and power, had amplified their hedonism and ultimately fueled the birth of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess. This grim realization demanded a complete restructuring of their way of life, one that would not merely limit their indulgences, but fundamentally alter how they approached existence itself. The path also serves as a lens through which the galaxy's other inhabitants view the Asuryani. To some, their disciplined way of life is a source of fascination and envy, a model of resilience in the face of adversity. To others, it is a reminder of the Asuryani's fallibility, a cautionary tale of a species that must impose extreme constraints on itself to survive. This dual perception shapes how other factions interact with the Asuryani, influencing alliances, rivalries, and conflicts. In the broader context of the galaxy, the path represents a counterpoint to the pervasive forces of chaos, brutality, and destruction. While many factions succumb to the temptations of unchecked power or the relentless demands of war, the Asuryani embody a commitment to balance, discipline, and purpose. Their existence challenges the notion that survival in the Warhammer 40,000 universe requires abandoning one's values or humanity. Instead, the path demonstrates that resilience can be found in self-control and that hope can endure even in the darkest times. The long-term implications of the path extend to the Asuryani's ultimate destiny. Whether they will continue as a dwindling race clinging to their craft worlds or find a way to reclaim their place among the stars remains uncertain. Some among the Asuryani dream of a resurgence, a time when their discipline and wisdom will allow them to rebuild their empire or transcend their current state. Others see the path as an end in itself, a way of life that offers meaning and purpose regardless of the external circumstances. The path of the Asuryani is not just a survival strategy. It is a philosophical and spiritual journey that shapes every aspect of their existence. Its legacy will endure as long as there are Asuryani to walk its disciplines, and its lessons resonate far beyond the boundaries of the craft worlds. In a galaxy defined by its chaos and cruelty, the path is a rare and enduring symbol of order, hope, and the unyielding will to persevere. It is a testament to the resilience of a people who, despite their losses, refuse to surrender to despair, choosing instead to forge a path of discipline, purpose, and redemption.